In this lesson, we will be creating our profitability analysis in Power BI. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go and create a template. Currently, we've got a template for the income statement, balance sheet, and the cash flow statements, but now I want to go and create one for our profitability. So let's go and open up our Power BI, PowerPoint reporting template that we previously created. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click on any one and just say duplicate slide. And then I'm going to call this, just rename this to profitability analysis. And just like that. Okay. And then that should already be grouped, so we don't need to worry about it because we've copied and pasted our previous template. So we can just say save picture as. And then we should be able to just give it another name. Let's call this profitability background. Let's save it. We go back to our Power BI report. Let's go new page. Okay, if you remember under format here, let's go to page background. Let's go and select that image that we've just created. Okay, so I can already see it's not highlighted there. Okay, so let's go back to, okay, so it wasn't grouped. Okay, so remember, select that and select the background. So all of it's highlighted. So holding control, select the header and the background, and then you say save as. Let's just override this one, profitability background. Okay, now it should work. Let's go back here. Yeah, I can see it showing now the name at the top on the logo. Okay, transparency 0, and we got fitted. So there we go. There's the template for the profitability analysis. We might as well just highlight all that, copy all the cards across like that. We can move that one up a little bit if you want. Something like that. Okay. All right, so let's get stuck in this. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a profitability slicer. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to go home, into data. We're going to call this profitability slicer. Like that. Don't click on load yet. Go to options. And we're going to say we want to give the user, we want them to see a menu. So the first item in the menu we want them to see is gross profit. Then maybe operating profit. And then let's look at net profit. Okay, so the three menu, gross profit, operating profit, net profit. Okay, let's load that. Okay, we just wait for it to load. There we go, there's the slicer. So what we can do is we can actually drag that slicer over here, change that to a slicer. Okay. Horizontal. Okay, so we can maybe put it like this. Again, I'm going to just change my background. Something like that, and I don't need to see the header, slice the header off. Okay, so this is like just a simple menu that we've created. Okay. What I want to do here is create an error chart. So I'm in this lesson, I'm just showing you how I would visualize profitability. So we want to just analyze profitability. Okay, so date, let's put in the year. let's put in our total revenue measure. So I think we're going to use the cards because we're visualizing this now. So there's the revenue. Okay, then what we want to go and do is create a DAX formula. So under the profitability slicer, let's go to this one. Then you go new measure. Okay, so what we want to do is let's say relative to revenue trends. Equals, we're going to use a switch function, switch. So if this then that, we're going to use here the max instead. So profitability, so bring up the profitability slicer. There's the menu which we've just created, the slicer options. We select that, close brackets, comma. Then we say if the user selects gross profit on the menu, show us the gross profit value. So we can just reference here back to the measure under the income statement that we've built previously. We're going to do the same for operating profit and net profit. There, this one here. And then net profit. Total net should be total net. Yeah, this one, yeah. Shift enter. Just another thing to note: these descriptions here that you've put here, it needs to be exactly the same as on the slicer. Otherwise, it won't work. All right, so let's use that. Okay, and then what we do is we go back to this visualization here, and we just drag this measure. We just drag it into values here. So if we select gross profit, and I think what we may have to do here is because we're visualizing, we may need to times that by 1,000. So let's just go new measure. We go relative. Let's just refer back to the measure that we've created, relative times. Okay, so let's put this one in and see what happens. Okay, that looks better. Okay. Okay, so the first one is our revenue, and this one shows, based on our selection, it shows the gross profit. Okay, so what we can do here is maybe just reference that back to selection and just call this revenue. Okay, so again, there's the gross profit line and there's the revenue line. So all we've done here is we've shown the measure here, the selection, gross profit relative to revenue. Okay, so that's what we've done there. So that's one way of doing it. I might as well just leave it. I'll leave it like that. It's fine. Okay, that's one example that we can do. Okay, what I'm going to do now is going to use my period slicer. So I'm going to go to one of these. Where's my period slicer? I think let's go to verse 1. Go to cash flow. Let's just copy and paste this one. Control C, Control V, because it's already formatted. Okay, let's put that in here. Happy with it like that. I'm just gonna rename this to profitability analysis. That's fine like that. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to insert, let's do a matrix. Okay, I'm going to show the year. I don't want this one to override, so it makes sure edit interactions is on. I don't want this slicer to override this table, so let's just block it out. Okay. And I don't want this slicer to override these two, so let's just block that out. Okay, you see now it's coming back. Okay. Okay. All right, so what I want to show here is just we've already created, or in under our financial ratios, we've created our profitability ratio, so we can just drag each one into there for this table here. I do it like that. $2020. Okay, I think what I want to do is I'm going to this period slicer is for something else. We're going to what we're first going to do here is just create this one here. So I don't want this period slicer to impact this table. I wanted to show all the financial ratios like that. That's what I actually wanted to do. Okay. We don't need to see, it just gives a summary of all the profit, all the profit margin percentages for each financial year. I don't want to show the totals, so I'm just going to switch that off. So on this table, let's switch off the totals. There, that looks better. And we might as well just format the headers. So let's do column header. I'm going to maybe just keep it, make it red, and that you can choose what you want. The row header, I might just change that to a different color. Sorry, style. Let's just change the style. I'm going to go bold header. That's actually what I wanted to do. So column header, going to change that to that, like that. Leave it white. And then the row header, I think I'm actually going to leave it the black and the white. It looks fine. Okay, so that gives us our financial ratio summary. Then I'm going to leave my period slicer here. So I don't want this period slicer to override any of these visuals here. What I want to do now is create some cards here. So let's go to so the first one I want to do is just create the gross profit. Change the background. Something like that. Alright, so I'm just going to Control C, Control V, V again, because I want to do this 3 times. Just going to make them a bit smaller. Something like that. Okay. I'm going to replace gross profit with operating profit. And then this one here with net profit. So something like that. I may just change the color so they just stand out. And that's too dark. I'm just looking for something with maybe something like that. And then let's do, okay, that's fine. Just unique. It just stands out. So now if you click on this period slicer, all these should change. These now it changes. Okay. All right. Then what we want to do is we want to create another slicer here at the bottom. So let's do that. So here was our first slicer. If you remember our first slicer menu, we want to create another one. So let's go to enter data. Let's call this profitability. Let's just call that 2. Don't click on load, go to options. First one we want to show is gross profit percentage. Then operating profit percentage. And then net profit percentage. So this is the menu we want to create. Okay, happy with that. Okay, load. Here we go. It's this one here. Just drag that over here. Change it to a slicer. Let's do that horizontal and give a background. Something like that. And we don't want the slider header. We turn that off. Okay, so something like that. Okay, what we can do now is do a clustered bar chart. Go to date, put in our year. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to create another switch function. So let's do that first. So under our profitability slicer 2, let's go new measure. So click on there. Let's put it in here. We're going to do another switch max function like we did previously. So this is called this margin slicer values. Switch max. And then we're going to now reference this to the profitability slicer 2. This one. This one here. Profitability slicer. This should be this one here. Okay. We're going to say if the user selects gross profit percentage, show them our gross profit percentage measure that we've created previously. This one here, percentage, not value, percentage. Same with operating profit percentage. This one, operating profit percentage, and then we're going to do net profit percentage. Like that. Okay. Okay, like that. Okay, let's see that works. So going back to this visualization here, what we want to do is we want to drag this margin slicer values in there. Okay. And you'll see we're only seeing 2020. So if we click on that, we're only seeing 2020. And the reason for that is probably this period slicer here is overriding this one. So click on this period slicer again and just block it. And it will show you all the periods. Let's add some data values, data labels, yeah. Let's change this to percentage. So margin slicer values, it's generally formatted. Let's just change that to percentage. Click on percentage. And there's all the percentages. So now you can see if you click on each year, it will change. Okay, so this is another example what you can do. And then maybe what we can do is we can just here also just show the year-on-year change. Let's see if we can do that. So we do a clustered bar chart. Let's go now year-on-year changes. There we go. This one here. With cash flow, sorry, income statement. Because that's where all the measures this relates to the income statement. So we should be able to, if we drag this one in there, and we only want to see it for certain items. So if I go to my cash flow template, if I drag that in there and then I go to my filter, let's say I only want to look at gross profit, net income, and operating, maybe something like that. Okay, I'm going to change the colors. Turn on the data labels. Okay, and again, you'll notice this is in millions instead of billions, so we need to change that. Our data labels needs to show billions. Okay, so what we're going to have to do here is we should actually drag this one, the cards one, because that's already formatted for billions. So if we put that one in there, okay, so that fixes it. So our gross profit changed for 2 million, 2 billion. So this, I want this period slicer to impact this chart. So this period slicer impacts these 3 cards plus this visual only. It doesn't impact this. This menu here, the first menu only impacts this chart here. This menu here only impacts this chart. This is static, doesn't change. It just updates as you add new financial period data. And then this period slicer impacts 1, 2, 3, these 3 cards and this chart here. So look how nice this looks now. So now you can look at, the user can either look at movements here, or they can say, I want to go and see the trends year on year, as well as the percentage margins. What you can also do is you can conditional format these tables. Yeah, I'll show how to do it. So we've done it previously. So you can go to conditional format. You can either do background color, font, or data bars. So let's perhaps look at data bars. So what you can say is your lowest and highest value. So you can either start off, the higher the value or the darker it gets, and the lower it is, the lighter it gets. You can maybe do something like that just to see what that looks like. See, so now it's formatted. So it actually shows you the data bar, shows you the movement in that. So that's up to you if you want to do something like that. Another way of doing it, you can use, we can use background colors. We've used that before. So color scale, low, high. So if it's low, if it's there, you use that, or if it's max, make it a bit darker. You can also do it like that. That's another way of doing it. So that's up to you how you want to do it. So that's just quicker for the user to see something that pops out. What's the trend in the numbers? All right. So I think if I look at this now, I think I'm happy with it as is. We may visit this at a later stage if there's any changes that we need to make. So that's just how you can build a profitability analysis when it comes to ratio analysis. So that concludes this lesson.